Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at Ryu Hayabusa from the game series Ninja Gaiden, specifically Ninja Gaiden 2. This figure is put out by NECA. The game series is published by Tecmo and I believe developed by Team Ninja. Packaging wise, it's really cool that they show you all the articulation on the back, They really drive in the fact that it's got 32 points and go out of their way to show you those 32 points between the ball joints here at the hips, all these other little joints here. I haven't seen the inside of a lot of figures, so I don't really know how a lot of these joints are typically put together, so it is interesting on several levels, and I do wish that more people would do something like this, but a little bit of a read-up here. Honestly, I haven't played any of the more recent games other than the demos, so, a lot of that information is kind of new to me as well. But yeah, enough about that. I picked this up just because he's a cool looking figure and stuff, so let's get him out of the box and let's get a closer look. Before I forget though, there are side panels on this, and, it features the figure in a bunch of cool action poses. I guess to provide inspiration to collectors. Very neat. Ryu comes with 2 giant metal tonfas, an alternate set of hands for holding weapons, and the dragon sword, which was actually the title of the DS game, which I owned and haven't actually finished because it was between the controls and the pre-rendered visuals, I wasn't really feeling it all that much, but I'll get back to it at some point. Now, right off the bat, I'm more than a little disappointed by the fact that he can't touch his hands together here to unleash like a powerful ninpo attack. But, I'm not gonna let that poison anything here, because this is a excellently detailed figure, and he does look to have a whole bunch of articulation, although when you see numbers like 32 points, you're thinking like it's some big, huge thing. But, the Marvel Legends, the older ones, a lot of them had that range. A lot of the soda toys, had that range. So, But detail-wise, very nice amount. Good choice of weapons, and interestingly enough here, you'll notice that he has this scarf, and it looks like it's fabric, but it's actually a plastic, kind of rubbery plastic too. I'd half expect like they coated plastic over actual fabric, but I doubt they did that. I think it's just a well done thing with a nice patchwork. You'll also notice that the chainmail's equally detailed, and he does come with accessories. I didn't mention the kunai knives on the hip here, which I believe you can take off. Yep. I'm just going to leave those on because I don't want to have to put them back on later. So, definitely appealed by the look of this figure, and, just a quick run through of the 32 points of articulation. First off, after messing around with the figure a bit more, I think you can get the hands to touch in a somewhat convincing manner here, but, there's a little bit of gap. Eventually I'll figure out how to do it, but in terms of articulation, we have ball and socket wrists, which are always a nice touch. Too often you just have something like a point of rotation at a wrist, which, is bothersome. We have a double pin joint here at the elbow, rotating bicep, ball jointed shoulder. The head has a pretty good range of motion. You will notice that he can look straight up, or pretty damn close to straight up, and that is awesome. Again, too often so many figures just neglect the fact that they can't look straight up, and when you have any character, if they can jump or fly, they need this angle. And it's great that he has it available. Now, down here at the ab, we have a crunch. Waist will turn full 360. Kind of wish they'd done something with the ball joint or something there. where you'd be able to get an extra range of motion, but it's kind of cool too. I mean, it definitely conceals a lot better than. Now we have a kind of standard ball joint here. Unfortunately, it's like the kind where you have to mess around with it to get it to kick out a certain angle, and it'll only kick out the direction this little line here is facing or back. Doesn't really go out side to side, but if you get the thigh to move, the direction can be changed. I really hate those motions, but whatever. Another thing too is the fact that with all like his joints, you have these really visible like pins, which is kind of bothersome and detracts from the overall aesthetic. Down here at the knee, we have a double joint. Then we have, a fully articulate ankle here, including a side pivot. Not much of a side pivot though, but hey, works. And then a toe joint. Not a huge fan of toe joints normally, but figure you kind of need it with a figure like this. Now, one of the big problems I have with this figure is just the sculpt of the biceps to the forearm here. Part of which might just have to do with the gauntlet, but as a result, you don't get a really great range of motion here, so you can't do cool sword draw poses unless you... I guess you can't really manipulate the sword in the back too much, but sword draw poses are a major draw, as it were. So I just pop the sword into his hand, show off other stuff, but decent looking sword. I imagine I probably will have a lot of fun just posing and messing around with the swordsmanship and crap, which I might post in another video eventually. Now the alternate hands I believe were packed in just for use of the tonfas. It's a really crappy pose. But as you'll see, they don't fit all that well. There's like a lot of space there, so it just flops around, and unfortunately if you're trying to pose it, that just wouldn't work at all. I believe it's the same with the other one as well. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so although the other hand is a lot tighter, the basic problem kind of still remains. I mean, your mileage may vary here, so you may or may not have this problem. Either way, probably not a huge deal breaker, because I don't imagine I'll be posing him with the tonfas that much. I'll probably opt for the sword. Now, the sword, I don't believe can fit into these other hands because they're looser, but let's quickly confirm that. Which is something I should probably do off camera, but today I'm doing it on camera. No, I mean, the sword does fit okay into the other hand, so you could probably use that for sword poses as well if you would. But, the way that the hand is posed for this one looks like more of a sword-holding thing, so I'll probably just do that. For double-handed strikes, I guess the open hand does work for, just like a hand-over-hand technique, or you could use both swords to one sword grasping the lower portion, one on the higher portion. Probably better off doing it this way though, just so you don't have to worry about breaking the sword when you're goofing around. But I mean, a figure like this has a lot of possibilities. I can't really go into like even half of them in this review. Imagine if I ever start like taking photos and like uploading them figures. I could probably fill a whole gallery with this and just semi-epic fights, but I think this is a pretty cool figure. I mean, if you can find it, might be worth picking up. I found it at Toys R Us, last one on shelf. It was 14 marked down to 10. At 10, I thought it was a really good price for a figure like this. At 14, maybe would have picked it up. Don't know for sure though. But until next time, folks. This, of course, has been a look at Ryu Hayabusa from NECA's Player Select line in the game Ninja Gaiden 2.